From Washington, this is VOA News. Iran's new president condemns the Nazi Holocaust. And the U.S. signs a landmark international arms treaty. I'm Joe Palca, reporting from Washington. Iran's new centrist president, Hassan Rouhani, has condemned the Nazi Holocaust against Jews in World War II, saying it is something that cannot be ignored. Mr. Rouhani made his remarks during informal talks with Western reporters covering the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Wednesday. He appeared to be distancing himself from the last Iranian President, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who repeatedly denied the Holocaust. But Mr. Rouhani said it is important that Holocaust victims not victimize others, a reference to Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories. Kenyan troops and the forensic experts are searching for more bodies at Nairobi's Westgate shopping mall, where a 4-day siege by militants left more than 65 people dead. Searchers are wearing face masks to ward off the stench as they examine the wreckage of the partially collapsed mall. The Kenyan Red Cross said Wednesday that more than 70 people are still missing. Syria and its chemical weapons continue to dominate the United Nations General Assembly session in New York. Speaker after speaker on the Assembly's second day Wednesday condemned the use of poison gas against civilians. They demanded that Syria keep its promise to rid itself of such weapons. United Nations chemical weapons inspectors are back in Syria, by the way, to investigate the use of the banned materials in the country's 2.5-year civil war. The team, led by Ake Selstrom, flew into neighboring Lebanon Wednesday and then traveled by car to Damascus. It first went to Syria last month to investigate 3 attacks, including one in March outside of Aleppo that the Syrian government and rebel fighters blame on each other. Facing international outcry over the jailing of 30 Greenpeace activists in the Russian Arctic, President Vladimir Putin sent a signal to prosecutors for leniency. James Brooks has more for VOA.
Faced with an international outcry over the jailing of 30 Greenpeace activists in the Russian Arctic, President Vladimir Putin sent a signal to prosecutors Wednesday for leniency. It is obvious they're not pirates, Mr. Putin said. Greenpeace activists tried last week to board Russia's only offshore oil production platform in the Arctic. Now, with 30 Greenpeace activists in jail in the Russian Arctic, time will tell what charges they will face. James Brooke, VOA News, Salahard, Russia.
For more on this story, visit our website at voanews.com. The death toll continues to rise from Tuesday's strong earthquake in southwestern Pakistan. Officials say at least 327 people were killed after thousands of mud homes collapsed in the mountainous district of the Baluchistan province. Hundreds of other people have been injured and displaced. The Democratic-controlled United States Senate is expected to begin holding a series of votes on legislation to fund the U.S. government beyond a fast-approaching deadline, defying efforts by conservative Republicans seeking to end the controversial law that would expand health care coverage to millions of Americans. Michael Bowman has this from Capitol Hill.
The yeas are 100, the nays are 0. The motion is agreed to.
The Senate has started debate on a bill passed by the Republican-led House of Representatives last week that extends federal spending authority but defunds the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. The Democratic-controlled Senate is expected to restore Obamacare funding in coming days. Majority Leader Harry Reid urged swift action.
Every hour that we delay here is an hour closer to shutting down the government.
The Senate acted after a marathon speech by Republican Senator Ted Cruz. For nearly 22 hours, Cruz urged colleagues to block funding of the law. Michael Bowman, VOA News, the Capitol.
The bill has no chance of being approved by the U.S. Senate. The U.S. has signed a landmark international arms treaty regulating the import, export, and transfer of conventional weapons. Secretary of State John Kerry.
This treaty will not diminish anyone's freedom. In fact, the treaty recognizes the freedom of both individuals and states to obtain, possess, and use arms for legitimate purposes.
Secretary signed the pact during a ceremony Wednesday at the United Nations headquarters in New York. This is Joe Palca for VOA News.